had a really nice conversation today with a guy, top of the line, Shane Mosley,
Yes.
Senior. Yeah. He's in New York. He's working with the Devin Haney camp,
Yes.
getting ready for a big fight back there. And I had a nice little chat with him. Such a nice guy.
He is a super, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had mentioned that when I talk to fight fans and they happen to cross a fighter that's been in the game and they see a different person as opposed to the guy that was in the ring trying to take his opponent out.
Yeah. When they're getting that ring, it's work.
Yeah.
It's work time. Yeah.
Well, we fight this Ben Whitaker versus Lamb Cameron was a fight that took place. I believe it was last weekend. Might have been weekend before last, but as the way I saw the fight, the fight didn't last long, which was somewhat bit of a surprise because I thought that the way it started, both fighters were trying to fill each other out. There was a lot of movement going on. There was a good jab used here and there. And from what I could see, Byrd, I was kind of sitting waiting for a fight that could possibly go the distance. But then in the second round, Whitaker threw a couple of good body shots, and then it caught him with a shot to the head, and then all of a sudden, Cameron was in trouble, and was in serious trouble. And for what fight fans may have thought that the fight was a kind of premature stoppage, was obvious that it wasn't, because first of all, Cameron did not argue and complain about the stoppage at all.
Well, that was a rematch.
Okay.
That fight was a rematch.
Yes.
Because they had fought earlier, and that fight ended in controversy.
Okay.
Because what had happened is the fight was very competitive. It was a very competitive fight, and at one point, both of them got tangled up, and both of them fell out of the ring. It was almost like one was pushing, one was pulling, but they both fell out of the ring.
Yes.
And as a result of that, as I understand it, one of the fighters, Whitaker, was injured to the point that he couldn't continue.
Okay.
Now, the reaction was that he really was looking for a way out. And that's the reason why he didn't want to continue the fight.
Right.
But based upon I think it was one of the reporters that was following the fight, said he was on the plane with them when they were going back home. And he said Whitaker's ankle was swollen and taped. And so that kind of lent some credence to the fact that he couldn't continue. And based upon all of the negative stuff that went on about, he was looking for a way out, they said, well, let's do this again.
Right.
And that was the fight that we're talking about now.
Okay. Yes.
That was the rematch.
Right.
And so Whitaker really had something to prove.
Yes.
And based upon what I saw, when I saw the fight, he came out with that mindset, it looked like. Because when he came out, I mean, he was popping.
Yeah.
He was popping. And when he caught Cameron with that solid shot, he kind of staggered
Yes.
And then he wasn't going to let there be no mistake this time. He jumped on it.
He jumped on it.
And from what I could see, he landed 5, 6 punches that, were unanswered.
Yeah.
And based upon the fact that he had got hurt, stumbled a little bit, and then 5 or 6 punches, no return, the referee stopped the fight. So, I heard that a lot of people thought that was a premature stop, but you and I both know that our mentality is always going to be stop the fight 1 punch too soon as opposed to 1 punch too late.
That's exactly right. And we're watching it on television, whereas the referee is in the ring.
Yes.
He can see far better what's going on when it comes to a fighter taking too many, what condition the fighter is in after what he has taken. Mm-hmm. So for the most part, he's got, that's why he's in there.
Yeah.
Because he's got the better view and he has to respond immediately to what he sees for the safety of the fighter.
Yeah, and we tell fighters, it's your responsibility. You, the fighter, your responsibility is to show me.
That's right.
Show me that you are both willing and that you're capable of defending yourself.
Yes.
If you do that, we're going to let you fight.
We're going to let you fight.
But if you don't do that,
what
we're going to do is we're going to, for your safety, we're going to stop the fight.
We're going to stop it.
And like you said, there was no reaction from the fighter's corner, no reaction from the fighter. So, what's the problem?
What's the problem?
Yeah.
That
was another fight. Smith versus Jermaine.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about this fight is that there's been a lot of talk about the winner getting a shot at Puello, who is the champion.
Yes.
Okay. And based upon what the promoter was saying, is based upon how this fighter looked in this fight, would give him a reason to make a decision about whether or not to let this fighter fight for the title. And based upon what I saw, this guy Smith took care of business. I mean, that was he was doing some serious damage in this fight. He dropped this guy 3-4 times.
Yes.
There was a little controversy in the last round where it looked like it was a low blow. When they showed it again, you couldn't really tell whether it was low blow or not. But it was academic because he had already been down. And then after that, he got down again.
Yes.
And it looked like, to me, that the kid was just trying and did a good job. He did a real good job of just lasting, surviving. And that seemed to be the mindset. You're not gonna knock me out. I'm gonna finish this fight, which he did.
Yes.
And my understanding is that what the promoter was saying is he wanted a knockout, because that would convince him to allow this title fight. And I'm saying, but based upon what I saw in this fight, this kid had earned every right to fight for the title.
Well, you summed the fight up very well. I wanted to touch a little bit on that low blow, and I wanted to touch on it for the simple sake of the fans understanding when you talked about low blow. And when I watched the tape, during my years of refereeing, I've always tried to train my eyes to what I see. And it happened fast, that low blow. And what we determine as to what a low blow is, a lot of fighters will wear their trunks, and they're, as you know, will have a very wide waistband.
Right.
And on the basis of where they wear their trunks, above the navel or below the navel.
Mm-hmm.
We use the navel as our guideline as to what's low or not.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that punch can land on that waistband, which is questionable. But between a low blow landing there and what we consider and call the breadbasket, is a whole different ball game.
Amen.
So I thought that the fight was won by Whitaker. I thought that he did an admirable job. And
Smith.
Smith, I'm
sorry.
Right,
yeah.
And he should, when it comes to what's in order for him to do next as far as opponent, it should be deserving to him. Should be deserving to him.
Right, yeah. And the thing about it is that, what people don't realize, I think, is our job as referees, again, is not to prevent a fighter from taking damage, because, again, this is a damaged sport.
Yeah.
You're going to get damaged. Our job is to keep the fighter from taking unnecessary damage.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes a very fine line.
Yes.
And so what we as referees have to do is exercise what I call, we have to use sound professional judgment.
Yes.
Sound professional judgment.
Yes.
And that means we take everything into consideration. Like you said, some of these guys, they got protectors go all the way up right here underneath their ribs.
Yes.
And so where's the low blow?
Where's the low blow? Yeah.
And so that's the reason why you'll see a lot of referees nowadays, when they're doing the pre-fight instruction, they would, in order to clarify that, they will designate, this is what I'm going to call low. This is what I'm going to call low, because these bands sometimes are high.
Yes.
Now, some people, and I'm a proponent of it, some people think that you should use the hip line as a designee, because the hip line's not going to change.
Right.
Okay? So anything below the hip line is a low blow.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that personally be the guideline for all matches, to take away all of that stuff.
Yeah. Right. So we go back to the question for, should Smith get the fight because he didn't knock his opponent out, as opposed to winning on decision? Should he get the fight that's in line for him next? And quite frankly, for me, regardless if it's a knockout or not, he won the fight. So he should be in line to fight the opponent that's scheduled for him to fight.
And he did it decisively.
Yes.
I mean, he put this guy down three, four times in the round, and the guy was fighting basically to survive.
Yes.
And that's not on the fighter.
Yeah.
That's not on the fighter. But I'm saying to say that you don't deserve a shot at the title because you didn't knock the guy out,
right, I
think is a stretch.
Yeah.
Really, it's a stretch.
I agree. We all know that Jake Paul has been making a lot of noise in boxing from the different opponents that he's fought, et cetera. And now it appears that he could be fighting another named fighter that we know. I've been in the ring with him a few times, once in Mexico. The other time was at the T-Mobile, and that's Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Why are these people calling these a fight? Jake Paul, to me, he's not a fighter. I mean, he's a YouTuber, or whatever they call them things. And he got a gazillion followers.
Yes, he does.
Okay, so my thing is, let's stop saying this is the fight. Why don't we just call it what it really is? It's more an exhibition than anything. Okay, it's an exhibition because, Paul is fighting people who normally well past their prime. If they are ranked, they're low ranked or not ranked at all. And so I'm just saying, why don't we call it what it really is? Why don't we be honest with the public who's going to pay their money to see this thing and say, this is going to be an exhibition, competitive maybe, okay? And I got some questions about that.
Right.
Because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has he's had some problems in the past.
Yes,
those problems, with making weight.
Yes.
He's had problems being motivated to fight.
Yes.
In the fight.
Yes.
He's not been in any way, shape, form, or fashion even close to what his father was. And maybe that's a bad thing because his father was an icon. His father was an all-time, champion. And maybe that's a lot of pressure on him that we unfairly, make him or look at him the same way, which he never is and never was and is not going to be. But he's a name.
That's the key. And Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., in my opinion, was the greatest Mexican heavyweight of all times.
Mexican fighter.
Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
He was, 88 or 89, undefeated before his first loss to Frankie Randall. And he's fought, I believe, a total of 107 times. And that's saying a lot for his era when he fought. So with that being said, it's the name. And you're right. Call it an exhibition. We don't know if Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is 250 pounds now. Or we don't know.
Well, we know the fight's going to be a cruiserweight, which is 200. So
that's
close. That's close.
Yeah. We haven't seen Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him fight. We don't know anything of what he has done in the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, now, to be fair, both of them have had recent fights. I think Chavez fought somebody June of last year.
Really?
I think Paul fought someone November of last year.
Well, I know
so
Paul
there's been some recent action on their part. But until this man, Paul, fights someone who is current and who is
very good point.
Who is ranked in the top 5.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
But until he does that, it's about money, and I'm not knocking that.
Right.
If you're in there, and you can make some money, I'm all for that.
Yes.
But I'm saying, let's be honest. Let's be honest about what it is, and let's be honest to the public and say it's about the money, and leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Yeah.
There is going to be some legitimate fights.
Yes.
Coming up.
Yes.
In New York, and actually there's another one that's going to be taking place in RIYAD. And they're calling these Fatal Fury.
Yes.
hopefully not. Hopefully they don't take that, to be for certain.
Right.
We don't want no fatality about it, nothing. So I don't even know that the name is right. But the one in New York is going to feature what I think is 3 of the up and coming. There's this new generation of boxers. We had the old guard. These are the people in the new guard. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, all part of this new guard, and they're part of this Fatal Fury in New York City. So, what do you think about this thing, and what do you think about those fighters?
Well, the 3 that you mentioned, Garcia, Haney, and Lopez, I've seen them fight. I know what they're capable of doing. In my opinion, they're very entertaining fighters to see. They bring something to the table. The guys that they're fighting, I don't know nothing about them. I don't know if it's even a worthy matchup. I don't know. I don't. But it's being sanctioned, and if it's being sanctioned, we know that the executive director in the state of New York has some say-so in approving of a fight.
Right.
So if the New York Athletic Commission executive director sanctions it, then I have to go with the fact that they're matched up pretty well, and you should get an entertaining fight.
Yeah, and Ryan Garcia fought a heck of a fight. I think it was with Gervonta.
Yes.
I think he had it was.
Yes, he did.
It was a very competitive fight.
Very competitive fight. Yes.
For a minute, and I believe Garcia also fought Devin Haney.
Yes, he did.
And I think he beat Haney, but it was some controversy about the fight.
Yes, it was 2-3 knockdowns in the fight as well. Yeah.
But Rolando Romero, who Garcia is fighting, I've seen him fight. I've worked with him in the gym, and he is he's an interesting fighter. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
He has some skills.
Yes.
He's not technically sound by any stretch of the imagination, just based upon watching him in the gym sparring. But he's a very dangerous fighter because he's very strong.
Yes.
Very powerful. Former champion. Okay. So Garcia, technically more sound, very strong. So that should be competitive. I don't know a lot about Ramirez, who Devin Haney is fighting, but I know that Devin Haney is probably technically one of the best fighters out there, young fighters out there. And he's a very, very good defensive fighter.
Yeah. So
that should be an interesting fighter. Teofimo Lopez, it depends on which one shows up. But when he is on, he is on.
He is on.
He can really handle it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know much about Barboza or Ramirez, who are their opponents now.
And I'm not taking nothing from them. Just because I don't know them doesn't mean, and I'm talking about the challengers, doesn't mean that they're not worthy.
Right.
They, like I said, they could be just as much as worthy of an opponent. And for those guys, Romero, Barboza, and Ramirez, this could be the big step up for them. If they could pull off a win, this could set them up for bigger and better things.
Yeah. And bottom line is, we know that on any given night,
it
only takes one punch to turn a fight around.
Turn it around.
Exactly. And upsets do happen.
And upsets
in
do
fights.
Happen.
So that's always out there. Now, the one that's going to be in RIYAD pits Canelo against somebody named William Skull. I don't know anything about William Skull. I've never heard the name.
Yeah.
But, and frankly, I think that this is just a stepping stone fight for Canelo. Because there's a lot of talk out there about Canelo being matched in a mega fight with Terrence Crawford.
Yes.
And so I can't see, given the magnitude of what that fight would be, I can't see them taking a fight over here that's going to be really scary and significantly diminish the opportunity for that mega fight. So, and I don't know anything about his opponent,
Sure.
but what I do know is that Canelo is going to bring his A game, and knowing what's on the table down the road, he'll be ready to fight. So it'll be interesting to see if the fight is competitive.
It'll be interesting to see if it's going to be competitive, because you made a very good point. Canelo, I've picked Canelo as my second greatest Mexican heavyweight champ. I think he's earned that mark over the years that he's been in the game.
Not heavyweight now.
Not heavyweight.
Okay.
Not heavyweight.
Not heavyweight.
but Canelo is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Skull, like you said, I don't know much about him. This fight could be the stepping stone for Canelo to look toward a mega fight with Terrence Crawford. And in regards to RIYAD and the fight taking place there, that would be an easy make for Mr. Turkey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would be an easy make. That wouldn't be difficult at all, because they got the funding and they can make it happen.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, he has so far, I'm talking about Turkey.
Yep.
He has so far sort of built a reputation for putting on competitive fights. And that's interesting, because there's this thing now about Dana White, the UFC, hooking up with Turkey to come up with what they call the boxing league. And that's, to me, going to be a very, very interesting development over the course of the next 18 months to 2 years. Because if in fact they do merge and they do what it is they're talking about doing, it can change the face of boxing.
It can change the face of boxing, and my big question is, how does the IBF, the WBA, the WBO, the WBC, I mean,
all of the sanctioning bodies,
how are they going to address this as far as their own individual organization? What direction are they going to go? Are they going to be a part of it? Are they going to not be a part of it? The promoters that we have here, I know that Oscar De La Hoya had made some early comments on, would he be a part or assist and be a part? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
You're right, because and that's going to be, I'm telling you, Kenny, that's going to be a fight, because if in fact this thing goes down, this combination of Dana and Turkey, if in fact they do what it is they're projecting they're going to do, which is they want to go back to, there'll be 8 weight classes. There'll be only 8 champions. We know that with sanctioning bodies, there's almost 32 titles. Right. You don't know who the champion is.
Right.
Okay? Right. We know that what they want to do is they want to bring the best fighters fighting the best fighters. Okay? Yeah. And that's what the public wants to see.
Yeah.
And we know that financially, they can afford to do what it is they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be, it can be something that change the complete face of boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got, tell me about these light heavyweights. I've been slipping saying heavyweights throughout this show, and we got Morale and Amon. I can't pronounce the name. You got to help me on this one.
Okay. I can't pronounce it either, but I'm gonna go with Katab. Okay. What I can tell you is that they're 2 young fighters. They're pretty evenly matched in terms of experience. I think Morel's got 11 fights. The other kids, 10 fights. They both got 9 knockouts. I think that this is a fight that could be, if in fact everything is true about both of them, it could be a candidate for Fight of the Year. You know, Durrell, when he fought Benavidez, that fight was a candidate for Fight of the Year. My understanding is that Katab is a very good, solid body puncher, and he loves to bring pressure.
Yeah.
Now, Durrell, on the other hand, pretty much mirrors that.
Yeah.
Powerful guy, probably made hands a little faster, feet move a little bit better. But if Katab can use the blueprint of Benavidez, and that is score heavily to the body and slow Durrell down, which is what Benavidez did, okay, this could be an interesting fight. But just like the fight with Benavidez and Durrell, it was very competitive. Very competitive.
You know, we've talked about this. When you look back into the annuals of boxing, and I'm talking about the Sugar Ray Robinsons and where these guys would fight every other week or every week and get a record of 30 or 40 undefeated wins, etc. And I'm not knocking fighters today, but they seem to fight less but make more.
Well, yeah.
Because you just mentioned between the two, one's undefeated, the other's got 1 loss. So you're talking 20 fights, 1 loss, and they're fighting for a title.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a title.
Yeah.
So it this kind of goes with the times and the age that we're in now. That entertainment is big.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's no tomorrow. It's today.
Yeah.
There's no grooming like back in the days. Yeah. It's, you know, put some girls on. That's right. Put them out there and let's make it.
Yeah. And it's this, but you know, that's this new guard, this new era, the new faces of boxing. Okay, and you need that.
Yeah.
You know, everything evolves, and so you need these new names, these new fighters coming along to help keep the sport alive.
Yeah.
To keep the sport healthy. Yeah. But for me, the test is always going to be given these opportunities, what are these guys going to do with it?
Yeah.
What are they going to do with these opportunities to put their name on the map? Okay, what are they going to do to make this sport what it should be?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Because there are other things out there. We live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And this is called the entertainment capital of the world. Okay?
Yes.
It once was the boxing capital of the world.
Yes.
But it still is the entertainment capital of the world.
Yes.
So there's this question out there about this other thing called WWE, wrestling. And the question is it bigger than boxing and MMA? Or is MMA and wrestling bigger than boxing? Who's the biggest?
Well, when I look at my history in the sport of wrestling, my Aunt E.B. used to take me and my brothers to wrestling back in the day when I was living in Northern California. We used to go to Jack London Square.
I know, Oakland.
And we used to watch wrestling, and as a kid, it was just amazing to me that these athletes could do the stuff that they could do back then.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at what they're doing today, standing on the top rope, doing double flips and landing on tables, and I mean, I believe his name was McMahon. Is the
Ed McMahon?
Over wrestling,
yeah.
And he made a statement a few years back, and he said, because the big question was it real? What they're doing is real,
mm-hmm.
but the injuries that they're apparently suffering, one would question, and at least back then, because they would just go to the next town and perform the same way they did where they were the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So he came out and made the statement that it's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's what the statement he made, and it is entertainment. And you look at the numbers of people that are there for the entertainment of wrestling. I salute the athletes. I salute them. I do.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that have made the sport what it is. Now, when you want to start comparing, I'm not one to say that, well, I mean, I'm not at the cash box. Mm-hmm. If in wrestling they say they annually make $1 billion a year and boxing only makes X amount, then obviously wrestling is bigger, because the gate is what determines who's bigger than the other. So the thing for me is safety for the athletes, mm-hmm. and when that check is written, I don't know how they do that part, that those athletes are getting their fair share.
Yeah. Well, but the real question, Kenny, that you get is wrestling a sport? And the answer to that question emphatically is no.
Right.
And the reason why it's no is that, number one, the winner is predetermined.
Yes.
Okay? And number two, no athletic commission sanctions it. It's entertainment, as Ed McMahon said.
Yes.
It's entertainment. Now, I agree with you. They're extraordinary athletes. I mean, the stuff that they do, you got to be in shape to do that. And you got to, I mean, it's extraordinary what they do.
Yes.
And how well they do it.
Yeah.
You know? But boxing, scientific? Yeah, it's a sport. And on any given night, anything can happen.
Yes.
UFC, any given night, anything can happen. Okay? It's a sport.
Yes.
WrestleMania is entertainment. And if you don't believe it, just over this past weekend, they had WrestleMania here in Las Vegas, and they had it at a football stadium.
How many?
And they said
how many
that it sold out.
Right.
They said that it made over the course of 2 days over 600 million in 2 days.
In 2 days.
Over 600 million.
Right.
And that's not including the merchandising.
Right.
That's not including, the pay-per-view.
Right.
That's not including all of the peripheral stuff that went on
yes.
with it.
Right.
So as entertainment, it's huge. But as a sport,
yeah,
nah.
And when you talk about all the particulars, when Mike Tyson used to fight back in the day, he would sell out the rooms back when he was fighting. People were coming to Las Vegas just to be around the fact that he was here fighting.
Right.
So the numbers that you're talking about, 600 million, that means that Caesars was sold out, the Aria, the hotels, the rooms, they just fill up.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Canelo fought a fight at the football stadium in Texas. Okay, they didn't fill out.
They didn't sell out.
They didn't sell out. They didn't even fill half the stadium. Okay.
Right.
So that tells you that WrestleMania is huge. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Now, but it doesn't compare with boxing.
Right.
And boxing has been so popular in various different generations. So now, I want to say to you, we talked about our Mount Rushmore, but in order to be fair, let's say in what era? So what is your Mount Rushmore in the era of the 60s? Who's your Mount Rushmore, the fighter that fought in the 1960s?
Well, my first and obvious, if we're talking about 60s, would be Muhammad Ali. But then he fought in the 60s. He fought in the 70s. I believe his last fight against Trevor Berbick was in 80, 81, I believe, because I know he fought Larry Holmes in 78.
I can go along with him. I put him on that same mountain in the 60s.
Yes.
When he was Cassius Clay.
When he was Cassius Clay.
Okay.
Yes.
And I leave him up there on that mountain, not only because of that, but because of what he went on to do in the sport.
Yes.
And the person that he became to be.
Yes.
So he definitely got to be up there.
I would put Sugar Ray Robinson.
And okay, all right.
I'd put Sugar Ray Robinson.
All right.
He. Now, I'm sure a portion of his career was in the late 50s, if I'm correct. And then it followed into the 60s.
But how would he have fared against the guys in the 60s if you're going to put him on that mountain?
Well, we're talking at the weight class that he fought at. He fought at 2 different weight classes.
And middleweight, light heavy.
Middleweight, light heavy. As opposed to Ali just fought at heavy. One could possibly during the 60s.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out how you got 3 more people to put up on this mountain. Or 2 more you got put up on this mountain.
Well, you know I'm going to pick your boy, the Goose.
Mongoose?
Mongoose.
Archie Moore.
Archie Moore.
Okay.
Archie Moore is up there.
All right. Okay.
Archie Moore is up there.
So now who else is up there?
And I'm looking at 4 on my Mount Rushmore, and I would lean toward because he was undefeated. His time period, I think, was more so in the 50s as well. Might have been late 40s, but he earns it heavyweight, Rocky Marciano.
Okay. I can go along with Ali. All right.
Uh-huh.
I definitely go along with Archie Moore.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna tell you why. The old Mongoose, he still holds the record today.
Yeah.
140 knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Fought over 200 times.
Right.
All right.
Right.
But what I really like about Archie Moore is something that he did for a young kid named Bob Byrd. Okay. I was in the gym.
Right.
And he looked at me, and I had my little thing going on, and he said, "Boy," said, "Secret of boxing? Yeah, be in good shape, and, good footwork, jab, gym." He said, "Can you spell?" And I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Moore." He said, "But spell out." I said, "Out?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "O-U-T." He said, "That's the secret of boxing." Out? He said, "Yeah. Your punch, if you can say the word out, your punch should be out there and back by the time you say out."
Before you say it.
Wow. And
right.
I used that. And when I teach seminars or when I teach young fighters, I always tell that with them, that if you can say out, that punch should be out there and back. He said, because that way they can't time you.
Right.
I said, well, okay. So he got to be on my mountain, right?
Yes.
Ali, of course, yeah.
Yes.
And who else? I got Cassius Clay.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this before you finish. The other part of Mount Rushmore is also, I never got the opportunity to see a Marciano.
Right.
I've seen some clips. A matter of fact, he even fought the old Mongoose when the old Mongoose was up there in age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when they showed Marciano, they will show that fight.
Okay. All right.
Because it was later, television was more active back then, so that's the footage that they're going to show.
Yeah, and the Mongoose fought 2 heavyweight champions. You know who else he fought? He was on your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah.
He fought Marciano and he fought Ali.
And
That's right.
Yes, he did. Yes,
but my last guy on my mountain is a guy that was probably one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Bob Foster.
Bob Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That would be the next one up there.
Yes.
Bob Foster was the winningest light heavyweight champion, held the title, I think, longer than any other person.
Yeah.
Was a deputy sheriff, by the way.
Yes,
deputy sheriff, and because his nickname was, sheriff, deputy sheriff.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Down in New Mexico. He also fought Ali, lost.
Yeah. They fought twice, didn't they?
Yeah, because back in those days, light heavy weight, they didn't get a lot of money. So if you want to make some money,
you had to go up to heavy.
You got to go up to heavyweight.
You had to go up to heavy.
And back in those days, if you were 176 pounds, you were heavyweight, because the light heavyweight limit was 175. So if you were 176, you were heavyweight.
And they had no cruiserweight back then.
Right. cruiserweight wasn't in existence.
Wasn't in existence.
Yeah. So that's my 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my 4 guys that'll be up on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
But only in the 1960s. Okay.
Thank you for tuning in to The Official Call.
And to stay connected, subscribe to join our official squad below.